Jen Psaki leading her show that airs, I don't even know when or where, but somehow I saw a clip. I guess I'm one of those guilty of seeing clips on Twitter. I saw this clip and I wanted to show it to you because she's trying to double down on this issue, an issue which one could argue did indeed help cost Kamala Harris and the rest of the Dems their spots.
There's obviously a lot of soul searching right now going on within the Democratic Party, and that's a good thing. But what I worry about is that in the course of all that soul searching, some Democrats might reach the wrong sweeping conclusions. And there are a lot of issues that fall into that bucket. But one in particular that stuck out to me is transgender rights. Republicans spent hundreds of millions of dollars on anti-trans ads this election cycle, including one that showed Vice President Harris talking about government funding for gender-reaffirming care for prisoners and detainees.
That was true. She did.
If that sounds like a particularly obscure issue, it is, because it applies to a tiny group of people. And it's also a policy that, by the way, was in place during the first Trump presidency. Another one of the lines that ran over and over again in those ads and throughout right-wing media is this idea that America is faced with a crisis of boys playing in girls' sports. Now, these ads created this perception that the issues of trans kids playing sports was dominating schools across the country, which is completely false. Some people got pulled into that argument. I mean, immediately after the election, Congressman Seth Moulton told the New York Times that, quote, Democrats spend way too much time trying not to offend anyone rather than being brutally honest about the challenges many Americans face. I have 2 little girls. I don't want them getting run over on a playing field by a male or formerly male athlete. But as a Democrat, I'm supposed to be afraid to say that. And then last weekend, Congressman Moulton came on this network to discuss those comments.
I was just speaking authentically as a dad about one of many issues where I think we're just out of touch with the majority of voters. And I stand by my position. You know, maybe I didn't get all the words exactly right. But the point is that the backlash I've received proves my point that we can't even have these discussions as a party.
Look, reflection is good. But if that were actually an issue at thousands of schools across the country, it would be worthy of a debate. But there are just incredibly few examples of transgender girls playing in youth sports. And when we see those examples, there isn't evidence that these kids are a threat to safety or fairness.
It comes obviously for political news. And Mike, that's the challenge. You grew up in a newsroom like Gene grew up in a newsroom. I mean, that's a lot of challenge. That's a challenge.
He's upset because everybody gets their news from Twitter. But Jen Psaki, back to what she's trying to say, like, okay, it doesn't matter because it's just 0.001% of the population. Except what if you're the young woman that doesn't make the team because somebody who was originally a man and is now a woman is there instead? I mean, this is actually happening all over the country. And you can talk to women who have been victims of this. They're not too happy. They're not too happy at all. And, you know, it's very interesting. It's very interesting because this woman works for MSNBC. And I do believe that one Joe Scarborough, who's suddenly kissing up to Donald Trump, was just on air the next morning saying, you know what? We missed this because of all this garbage on all this trans stuff. Right? And people are afraid to speak. So it looks like they're having a little bit of an upset within their own party, and she's trying to warn people, etc. I would say this, you know what, Hillary Clinton, I know we're not big fans of her here, but she actually warned the Democrat Party a couple of years ago, like, don't dig in too hard on this because that's just not where America is. And then the trans community came out and attacked her and everybody was all over her. So they have a problem, shall we say, with their base. And until they fix their base, they're not really going to be able to fix who they are. They don't know who they are. They have become irrelevant. As the former Boston reporter started to say.
For a lot of mainstream media sources is, do they make themselves relevant again? To hear 20% of adults who actually get influencers on social media.
I don't know
maybe somebody who makes baskets, and while they're making baskets, they look up and say, vote for candidate X.
I don't know how they make themselves, how we make ourselves relevant again, because we can't compete with 20-second snippets on an iPhone, walking up the street.
Morsels.
Yeah, you can't compete with anything because you know what, guys? You've actually just completely lost who you are. Forget about whether it's 20 seconds. Hey, you know, we get thousands of people tuning in. Ian, good to see you. Mike Costa, good to see you. You know, I know, Cat Crazy, good to see you. You've been here a while. Listen, we're here. We're talking about all these issues, and we've been going like almost an hour and a half, okay? So it's not just that. It's the fact that you guys are so arrogant and you're so out of touch, and you think, to hell with the young women that aren't going to get the gold medal. Or to hell with the young women that feel uncomfortable in that restroom. I mean, I realize that Nancy Mace is making a very big deal about one particular case. But can't we come up with a solution for that? Like, can't there be an individual restroom for that particular person? Like, you know, when the worldwide governing body of the Swimming Association said, hey, you can swim in your lane. And your lane only. After all, you're not allowed to take certain kinds of drugs and medications to improve your muscles now, are you? You can't have testosterone supplements in the Olympics. So why would you have somebody who had testosterone in their system for that many years during those crucial years when they're building their muscular capacity, then able to compete against women? I mean, like, why am I the mean one for saying, you know, okay, Nancy has a point. Like, can we not be civil as a society and say, okay, we feel bad for that person, but it's not really all the women's problem to deal with. You know, maybe give them another bathroom and give them, her, him, whatever, like whatever gender they are on that particular day. They get their own lane in the swimming pool and their own lane on the track. And you know what? Fine. But don't cost our girls, are naturally born females, anything. We need to look out for them.